It all started with a text I wasn't supposed to see. That morning, I was going about my usual routine, coffee in hand, scrolling through my phone, when Jason's phone buzzed on the counter. Normally, I wouldn't have looked, but the timing made me glance over. What I saw stopped me cold. The message said, "Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again." My stomach dropped, my heart pounding in my chest. I reread it, hoping I'd misunderstood, but there was no denying the implications. It wasn't from a coworker or a friend, it was intimate. Jason was still in the shower, humming some tune like nothing was wrong. My mind raced. Had I been so blind to what was happening right under my nose? My hands trembled as I stared at the phone, the once familiar world around me suddenly feeling foreign and unsteady. Like and follow for part 2. Part 2. I couldn't shake the pit in my stomach as Jason left for work. He kissed me on the cheek like everything was normal, but I felt like I was on the verge of crumbling. As soon as the door clicked shut, I knew I had to find out more. I grabbed his laptop, my hands shaking as I opened it. At first, nothing seemed out of place. His emails were boring, and his calendar was filled with meetings. But then I found it. A folder labeled Personal. My breath caught. It took me a few tries to guess the password, but when I finally got it right, my birthday of all things, the folder opened. Inside were dozens of photos of Jason with another woman. They weren't just friendly pictures. They were smiling, holding hands, even kissing. My chest felt tight as the realization hit me. This wasn't just suspicion anymore. It was betrayal. Plain and simple. Like and follow for part 3. Part 3. Her name was Claire. I found her on social media. Her profile full of sunny photos and captions that made her seem like the kind of person I might have been friends with, if not for Jason. I messaged her, expecting anger or denial, but her response surprised me. "I didn't know about you," she wrote. "Can we talk?" We met at a small cafe, both of us nervous but determined. As soon as she saw me, Claire apologized. "He told me he was single," she said, her voice shaking. "I never would have gotten involved if I'd known." We talked for hours, piecing together Jason's lies. He'd been juggling both of us, spinning stories to keep us in the dark. By the end of the conversation, Claire and I weren't just strangers caught in the same mess. We were allies with a shared goal, to make him pay for what he'd done. Like and follow for part 4. Part 4, Jason's company gala was the perfect opportunity. He'd been talking about it for weeks, excited about an award he was receiving. Claire and I decided to give him an award of our own, for the worst liar we'd ever met. Claire arrived first, dressed like she belonged on the cover of a magazine. She made her way to Jason and slipped her arm around his, acting as if nothing was wrong. Meanwhile, I waited in the wings, watching as he grinned, completely unaware. When I finally walked up to them, Jason's expression shifted from confident to panicked in an instant. "Jason," I said, my voice steady and loud enough to catch the attention of the people nearby. "Aren't you going to introduce us?" The room went silent. Jason stammered, his face a mix of shock and terror. For once, he didn't have a clever lie to fall back on. Like and follow for part 5. Part 5. Jason's world unraveled in front of everyone. His boss stood nearby, his colleagues whispering and exchanging looks. He tried to recover, mumbling something about misunderstandings, but it was clear he was done for. Claire and I didn't stick around to watch him squirm. We walked out together, heads held high, leaving Jason to deal with the fallout. The night air felt refreshing, like a clean slate. In the days that followed, I felt lighter than I had in years. Jason's lies were exposed, but I wasn't angry anymore. I was free. Free to move on, free to focus on myself, and free from the weight of his betrayal. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's rediscovering your own worth. The end. Like and follow for more stories.